This is Africa. Good morning.
Hey, it's Aina Raizakaya alongside Diana Master.
Sincere apologies for that. You are with Sunset News, and as I was saying, we always bring you the news, community stories, economics, weather, and sports. You are with Ashwin Berry. In the news tonight, NBC Director General Stanley Similo says all efforts were undertaken to ensure the broadcaster's employees were informed of the consequences of the no work, no pay condition entered into when workers went on strike in 2021. Similo acknowledged that while the relationship between the employer and employee was harmed during the process, there are ongoing efforts to improve staff morale.
You deal with the union, which has a mandate from its constituency, which are the people. Apart from us dealing with the union, we were also communicating to staff, indicating this is what it is. Because remember, and I think I hear what the Honourable is asking, at the time, at the heart of this happening, it was when matters were still, and I agree with you, very volatile. But post the process since, there's many things that we've done to try and mend. And I think someone was asking to that effect as well. To the extent that I believe where we are, we've started moving in a direction where we're consolidating everything from board management up to the lowest level. But at the time, for appreciation, it must be understood for what it was. But people were not just deducted to. They were told that this is how it's going to work. And there was continuous communication in that regard to make sure that people understand exactly. To the extent that the process that was explained now was also audited by an external audit entity as well, to make sure that whatever was legally agreed upon was not outside what was contained in the agreement as it applies to how the process would work out. But the aspect of the people side of things, I think the committee must appreciate that, like with yourselves, it wouldn't matter what happens at a particular time. At the heart of it, things will be tough. What counts then is what you do post the process. Thank you.
Walvish Bay is experiencing a sandstorm due to the east wind. Motorists are advised to use the entrance-exit road via Kusapmund due to the B2 road surface being covered by sand. Earlier today, an accident between Arandis and Swakopmund occurred amid heavy sandstorms. Motorists are urged to use the entrance-exit road via Kusapmund, and this is once again due to the road being covered with sand. Meatco employees held a peaceful demonstration over the company delaying their salary increases. According to them, they had to receive the increase on 1 March. They handed over a petition to Meatco CEO Mwilima Mushokabanji, threatening to strike if the issue is not resolved. Finance and Public Enterprises Minister Ipumbu Shimi yesterday said there are no directives in terms of the Public Enterprises Governance Act for such entities to pay for ministers' allowances amid revelations that Higher Education Minister Dr. Ita Kanji Murangi had parastatals under her ministry funding her trips abroad. The Ministry of Higher Education yesterday confirmed that Kanji Murangi has been asking some of the public enterprises resorting under her ministry to pay for her trips abroad, but hastened to say that all money had been reimbursed to those institutions. The Ministry of Finance and Public Enterprises said no directives were issued to authorities, public entities to fund ministerial travels. No directives have been issued in terms of public enterprise and governance in that regard, according to Ministry of Finance spokesperson Wilson Shikoto. A cabinet minister yesterday described the Kanji Murangi situation as embarrassing, saying there are hidden agendas in all paid trips. If you're a state official, why can't your country pay for you? If someone is paying for you, there's something they expect in return. The minister, who said the scandal paints everyone in cabinet in a negative light, said any minister embarking on an all-paid trip can only claim for incidentals from their ministry, which is a rate 4. Obviously, when you go to New York on a rate 4, it's a pittance. Many would seek ways to boost that amount with frivolous allowance claims, the minister said. Now, during Parliament yesterday, Home Affairs Minister Albert Kawana told PDM's Vipao Kuye Muharukua that whoever is opposed to the Supreme Court ruling on May 16th should go to the court. Kawana responded to questions posed to him by Muharukua, demanding the ministry deal with the ruling differently. Anything that's happening in that ministry involves and ends with me. I take note of the sentiments expressed. Some of the proposals have already been debated, so the House, in terms of procedure, is waiting to hear from the ministry. I take note and respect your view. For me, you are referring to cases in which you know my views and opinion. I defended the country and the community and opposed this ruling up until the Supreme Court. As a democratic country, we have tried to accommodate everyone by way of amendment, he said. While addressing Muharukua's questions, Kawana said that on behalf of the majority of Namibia, same-sex marriage offends Namibia's tradition, culture, morals, and ideologies. What we are doing now is according to Namibian laws. For those who feel like we are doing something illegal and unconstitutional, Namibia is a democratic country that tries to sort out issues often imposed on us by other countries. You know where to go. Proceed. Go to court as you have done in the past. We have not done anything illegal, he said. Read more on these stories in the Namibian Sun tomorrow. Now, the government has put out a tender for the expansion of the Oshakati water purification plant that will enable it to better its water supply to nearby regions. Which brings us to the end of our top stories on Sunset News. Now, in our Story of the Day segment, Environmental Commissioner urges youth involvement in climate change. Stay with us.
NamWater het van dese week 'n uitnodiging aan belangstellendes gerig om te tender vir konstruksiewerk vir die uitbreiding van Oshakati se watersuiweringsaanleg. Alle tenders moet teen 21 Augustus voor 11 by NamWater se kantore in die hoofstad wees. Dit kom nadat die Namibiese regering finansiering van die Afrika Ontwikkelingsbank ontvang het vir die uitbreiding van Oshakati se watersuiweringsaanleg. Yona Mosheku, woordvoerder by die Ministerie van Landbou, Water en Grondhervorming, het aan die media verduidelik dat die uitbreiding van die watersuiweringsaanleg kapasiteit sal verhoog om water te verskaf aan Oshana, Oshikoto, as ook dele van Oangwena. Die huidige aanleg raak ouer en daarom maak ons 'n plan om terug te val op, om seker te maak ons kan aan die behoefte aan water voorsien, het hy verduidelik. Uiteindelik sal die ou pyplyne ook vervang word wat hierdie streke verbind, wat beteken water sal dan teen die optimale druk gepomp kan word, veral na die Oshikoto streek, het hy gesê.
This is Africa. Good morning.
My name is Aina Raizakaya alongside Diana Master.
In the ANC conference in December. So starting off with the cycling.
Africa, good morning. Do have a lovely...
Minister Monica Mchangwa has said that
With the soccer, the English Premier League continued, the biggest game being... On that note, it is all our love, all our light.
Environmental Commissioner Timbo Mufeti urged youth involvement in climate change at the inaugural National Youth Climate Change Summit held at Mercure Hotel. The three-day summit begins today and aims to foster collaboration and innovative solutions to address pressing environmental challenges through the development of the Youth Climate Change Statement. Jemima Ndebele reports.
Business as usual. Industrial development is affecting global temperatures, leading to extreme weather conditions such as droughts, floods, cyclones, extreme heat waves, and the sea level rises, to name but a few. These impacts are alarming, especially for young people who will inherit the world in years to come. These devastating changes in climate conditions propelled the world to change from the business as usual practices and adopt sustainable practices to combat climate change. However, these sustainable practices will need harmonized approach from all of us. The actors, the communities, the individual to play our part and to reverse the environmental calamities caused by the climate change.
The Steps to Walk non-profit corporation is currently in Namibia for the 4th time. We'll be figuring out what part of their journey they're on in Community Talk after the break.
Ranging from current affairs, community stories,
Thank you for joining the show that highlights the news-making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond.
Always major victorious.
The Steps to Walk non-profit corporation is currently in Namibia for the 4th time. The corporation will be performing pro bono surgeries on 20 Namibians with foot and ankle deformities. Watch as we talk to Dr. Mark Meyerson, the founder of the corporation. Rositwa Mbayeva shares her son's story as a beneficiary of the surgery. Jeanette Deerhart reports.
My name is Dr. Mark Meyerson. I'm the president and the founder of a humanitarian organization called Steps to Walk. We are like Doctors Without Borders for the foot and ankle. We treat children and adults, but mostly children all over the world with terrible deformities of the foot, the ankle and the leg. In addition to the surgical work that we do, we teach the orthopedic surgeons and doctors from the entire region as to how to manage these very difficult problems. We are working here now in Namibia. This is the 4th time we are working in Namibia. And I must say that working here at the Lady Pahamba Hospital is very special. This is an extraordinary opportunity for us working in a hospital with all of their resources. They have been extremely generous and considerate, and their support of our organization and for the people of Namibia is extraordinary. Our goal is, as I said, not just to do surgery. We will be operating on approximately 20 children, some adults this week. At the same time, we are teaching doctors from all over Namibia how to manage these very difficult problems. So the surgeries are done, but done live so that there's education that is continuous throughout the course of the week.
My name is Rosita. My surname is Baiva. I'm here for my son, which is a Down syndrome, and which is having a disease. This disease for this. Hello. And he was not like this when he was born. It had started when he was 7 years old. It's when the time started.
Truly essential and appreciated work. Now, during the first half of 2023, inflation averaged 6.5%. We'll be getting into that story as well as the economic indicators after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
During the first half of 2023, inflation averaged 6.5% compared to 5.5% recorded last year, according to the Namibia Statistics Agency. In June, inflation stood at 5.3%, the lowest rate recorded since May last year. May 2023 recorded an inflation rate of 6.3%. The Bank of Namibia projects inflation to average 6.1% in 2023. The main driver of inflation in June was the food and non-alcoholic beverages category, which recorded an inflation rate of 11.7% compared to the 12.5% recorded in the preceding month. Let's head into the financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.79 next to the US dollar, with 24.28 Namibian dollars getting you 1 British pound. Platinum and copper both made dips of 0.44% and 0.15% respectively, whilst gold and Brent crude oil managed some upsurges. Now, a United Nations expert accused Israel of having transformed the occupied territories of Palestine into an open-air prison. We'll be heading into international news after the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Let's head into the international news story. A United Nations expert accused Israel of having transformed the occupied territories of Palestine into an open-air prison by detaining Palestinians en masse. Francesca Albanese, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territory occupied since 1967, said Israel carried out widespread, systematic and arbitrary detention of Palestinians. Israel's permanent mission to the UN in Geneva did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment on Albanese's findings.
Israel has built settlements, segregated roads, walls, checkpoints, a physical infrastructure that complements, beyond bars, the arbitrary deprivation of liberty that happens behind bars. And this is supported also by bureaucratic architecture made of permits and bans that further confine and frustrate Palestinians in their limited land that remains to them. And on top of it, there is digital surveillance that is intertwined with the other barriers, the physical and the bureaucratic barriers I refer to. And this is why I concluded there is no other way to define the regime that Israel has imposed on the Palestinians, which is apartheid by default, other than an open-air prison. Over 56 years, Israel has incarcerated about 1 million Palestinians, and the dates we have is that it's often referred to, including in my report, is 100,000, but this is updated to 2006, and the phenomenon is ongoing. There are 5,000 Palestinians incarcerated, including 1,100 without charge, without trial. By deeming all Palestinians as a potential security threat, Israel is blurring the line between its own security and the security of its annexation plan. Because and this is the last point I wanted to share with you. The mass arrest and incarceration happen in proximity of settlements, within 1 kilometer from the settlements. I eventually concluded that the overall system is intended to make the Palestinians an incarcerable threat. Palestinians are presumed guilty without evidence, arrested without warrants, detained without charge or trial, very often, and brutalized in Israel.
That's been our international news story. Now, it's obviously been very, very chilly across the capital city. Windhoek, now the weather conditions are cleared throughout the day, and we're looking at tomorrow, and this is regards to the northern region. And we'll get into details about that in the weather forecast after the break. This is Africa. Good morning.
My name is Aina Raizakwaya alongside Diana Master.
In the ANC conference in December, so starting off with the cycling.
Africa, good morning. Do have a lovely...
Minister Monica Mchangwa has said that
with the soccer, the English Premier League continued, the biggest game being...
On that note, it is all our love, all our light.
As promised, let's head into the weather predictions. Rundu is very cold with a 4-degree minimum, sharing that with Oshiwarongo, whilst Katima Molilo can expect 22 degrees. It is sunny across the board, but how much of that heat will actually be felt? As we know, at the coast, there are sandstorms, and that is reflective in Henties Bay in particular, Swakopmund and Wavish Bay having minimums of 18 and 19 degrees respectively, whilst Rehoboth is the coldest in the country with a 2-degree minimum. Stay with us as we head into the sports after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraita. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and...
Let's head over to the sports desk, proudly brought to you by Sports Wrap.
Good evening, viewers. Well, on this evening's Sunset News, brought to you by Sports Rep, we take a look at the fact that Namibia will be hosting its very first official adventure race during the end of May next year. Race directors Heidi and Stefan Muller were in the capital this week to launch this exciting news. They emphasized the economic value of the international teams that are set to visit the country, as well as the global social media following that many of these races generate. The Desert Regional Wrestling Tournament, which took place at the Windhoek Gymnasium Private School Hall, saw wrestlers making the fans and enthusiasts that were very excited about the event as they showcased world-class wrestling in the Greco-Roman and freestyle categories. Lazarus Haimbodi and Alex Aininga displayed some of the best medal-winning performances of the day. Romeo Goliath was also in the mix of things that competed and went the day undefeated. Well, we take a look at the last news for the day, where we have South Africa that just have announced the team that will be taking on All Blacks. As you can see, the Eben Etzebeth will captain the side in Auckland as expected, actually, as the Boks look to take another step forward in their quest to gain momentum ahead of the Rugby World Cup later this year. The Springbok squad, as you can see, is set up very well with Lucanio in outside center, and you can also take a look at the bench there. So it's definitely a strong team that is lined up to take on All Blacks. Well, that's all that we have for you from the sports desk team, and it is goodbye.
Stay with Sunset News as we head into the highlights from this evening's broadcast.
Ranging from current affairs, community stories,
thank you for joining the show that highlights the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond.
Always major victorious.
Thank you for staying with Sunset News. Let's get into the highlights from this evening's broadcast. NBC Director General Stanley Similo says all efforts were undertaken to ensure the broadcaster's employees were informed of the consequences of the no work, no pay condition entered into when workers went on strike in 2021. Walvish Bay is experiencing a sandstorm due to the east wind. Motorists are advised to use the entrance-exit road via Kwisipmund due to the B2 road surface being covered by sand. And Namibia will face Botswana at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. One of the players said that tonight will not be any easier. Every match is competitive in its way, but they aim to create better than our past matches. And with that, we have come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all the NMH platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, oneuptwo.com. Sunset News also screens on Sundays on DSTV 285, GoTV 285 every weekday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. My name is Ashwin Berry. Don't end your day without us.